The view of animals as a powerful embodiment of spirituality or otherwise in control of forces outside themselves is all but universal across cultures. And this isn't just something that ancient peoples did. Sure, lots of these rituals and practices have roots in older practices, but there are still many modern practitioners that regularly participate with or involve animals in their rites or observations. And again, if you have any specific culture setting in mind, toss it out, because I'm about to take you on a trip around the world. Okay, so I had no idea where to start. I ended up spinning a wheel and getting India, so that's where we'll start our journey. Now you're thinking to yourself, sacred animals? India? I know where this is going. And you would be absolutely right. Rats. The Karni Mata Temple at Deshnoke, also known as the Temple of Rats, is home to more than 25,000 black rats. The legend states that Laxman, son of Karni Mata, drowned in a pool while he was attempting to drink from it. Karni Mata implored Yama, the god of death, to revive him. First refusing, Yama eventually relented, permitting Laxman and all of Karni Mata's male children to be reincarnated as rats. Thus, the rats are considered sacred in the temple and provided with food and milk both by the tourists, but also separately by the clergy that attends to them. It's considered a blessing to be able to eat food that was nibbled on by the rats. It's also considered a great blessing to spot a white rat among the masses, as those are allegedly specific manifestations of Karni Mata and her sons. Visitors will go to great lengths to try to coax one of them out. Thankfully, at least they'd be easy to spot among the rest of the rats. On sort of the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the Temple of the Azure Cloud in Penang, China. Not to be confused with the Temple of Azure Clouds, as that is a different temple also located in Penang. To make the distinction clear, the Temple of the Azure Cloud usually goes by its nickname, Snake Temple. It's called Snake Temple because of all the snakes. The temple was built in the early 1800s for Chor Su Kong, a Buddhist monk who was known for offering shelter to the local jungle snakes. The legend goes that after the erection of the temple, snakes now started showing up of their own accord. A snake breeding facility is now located within the temple, and the snakes that live there, often vipers, venomous in nature, are apparently devenomed to make the area safe for visitors. The temple is also known to burn incense in order to keep the snakes calm. Which is more than I can say about the other serpent-specific religious observations. My watchers in the US may be a bit familiar with the churches in the southeast region that practice snake handling. For those not in the know, snake handling, practiced by a very small minority of independent Christian churches, involves the voluntary handling of venomous snakes as a testament of faith and the protection that faith provides. Clergy and practitioners will pick up and handle the snakes, and then when they're unbitten, have thus proven their faith. These practices are actually illegal in many of the places it's practiced, but due to the small sizes of congregations that do, the local law enforcement is often involved in the church and does not enforce the laws. The reason the practice is illegal is that it's dangerous for the people and the snakes involved. The number of human deaths linked to snake handling is kind of vague, but there have been deaths confirmed from it and quiet public ones too, such as Jamie Coots, who started a television show on the matter. Not all animal practices are as dangerous as they look, though. I mean, in all points taken into account, snake handling was meant to be dangerous, a test of faith and all that. But this next instance may appear dangerous, but isn't as much as it looks. See, there's a village called Bazul in Burkina Faso where it's common to swim with the crocodiles that live nearby. They aren't to be feared. And not just swim with them, but the crocodiles are frequently touched, fed, and even laid upon. There are tons of examples of these crocodiles being interacted with in a way that humans wouldn't dare anywhere else on Earth. They have a very relaxed relationship with the locals. Why is this? Well, some speculate that it's in small part that the species of crocodile, the West African crocodile, is more docile and smaller than the nearby neighbor, the Nile crocodile. But that isn't the whole story. See, the locals commonly socialize and feed the crocodiles, so they don't fear them or see them as a threat. And in fact, it's likely that they know them as a source of food, not to be harmed. But why do the locals interact with the crocodiles in this way? Well, the crocodiles live in the waters that rise during the rainy season, and during the hotter, drier season, enter a torpor-like state, kind of like hibernation. Well, the legend says that during one lengthy drought, the crocodiles led the women of Bazul to a source of water. Now, once a year during a festival, the crocodiles are celebrated and fed. They are also used to tell when the village is threatened, their cries interpreted by certain members of the village to foretell danger. The crocodiles of Bazul are so highly regarded that when one of them passes, they are given a full funeral like any other resident of the village would be. That isn't to say that the people who hold deep spiritual connections to predator animals don't believe them to be dangerous, but for many, understanding that danger is fundamental to the interaction. Take the famous hyena men of Nigeria. Initially, when photos of these men surfaced, they were reported to be debt collectors, but that isn't the case at all. What they are, though, seems a bit difficult to translate across cultural lines. They are a type of performer, demonstrating their strength over the hyenas, as well as baboons and snakes, as well as their spiritual connection to them. While doing so, they hope to impress the people they are performing for to sell them medicines to make them strong as well. This practice is a deeply spiritual and generational connection for these people. Their children are taught to feed the hyenas young so they will not fear them. Many of the people who've looked into these intriguing individuals didn't seem capable of digging beyond the surface of what these men did, either because of their own presumptions of the nature of the behavior or the hyena men's reluctance to share with outsiders. For now, though, the nature of these traditional hyena handlers will remain a mystery. But I've been talking about a lot of isolated pockets of people, right? This type of ritualistic animal behavior doesn't exist in any larger culture on a more widespread basis, to which I would respond that it does, in tons of forms. I wasn't going to bring up India and cows because everyone does, but I will if I have to. Oh, you want a different example besides the obvious one? Well, okay, if you insist. Some of you may be familiar with the ravens of London. Between 6 and around a dozen of the birds are kept on the grounds of the Tower of London. They're kept by official practice and by a government-appointed raven keeper. No one is really sure when ravens started being kept at the tower, but the earliest recorded instance is in 1883. Why are ravens kept at the tower? An old superstition. Though I'd say that has little difference between religious or spiritual practice and superstition, other than the label assigned to it. The belief holds that if the Tower of London ravens are lost or fly away, the crown will fall and Britain with it. So that's what the people of London do. They adhere to that practice and keep and tend to the ravens in the yards of the Tower of London, which to me seems very similar to a good number of the other examples on this list. See? Told you I didn't need cows to prove it. What happens, though, when the animal people find sacred isn't around anymore? When it comes to the North American bison or buffalo, the parts of the Native American population that saw this animal as sacred intend to try and restore it as much as they can. When the U.S. government sought to claim the land between the Atlantic and Pacific coasts, they were determined to drive the native people out through whatever means they could. This included slaughtering the bison to starve the people off the land. But the bison wasn't just a source of food for the people who lived there. For many native groups, they had cultural and spiritual significance as well. Where bison once numbered in the millions, today it's a miracle to have the thousands that we currently do. And it's the native people of the regions that are leading the push to bring back these animals. These conservationists, like the Blackfeet's Inni Initiative and the herd of Assiniboine and Sioux tribes, are working hard to bring the buffalo back to a stable level. According to members of these tribes, such as Leroy Littlebear, a professor at the University of Lethbridge, they can sing the songs and practice the ceremonies, but it doesn't mean the same thing to their young people without the buffalo there. I think the weight of those words speaks to the importance of these animals for these people. And there you have it, an interesting look at animals whose ties to humans and their spirituality is so strong it often impacts the daily lives of the people who live in those regions. What do you think? Do you have a tradition, spiritual or not, where you live that holds a lot of prestige for specific animals? Have any experience with the places on this list, or just want to share a story about a strong animal bond of your own? Feel free to leave it in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on the important animals in the world around us.